Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, of course. Would we be checking out anything else? And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. And it says, am I the arsehole for causing a rift in my brother's marriage by calling out my sister-in-law for lying in front of everyone at my Christmas party? Basically, I, 26 female, hosted a big Christmas party at my house last weekend, and what was supposed to be a fun evening spent celebrating as a family turned into a bit of a shit show, all because of my sister-in-law, Hannah, 31 female. Now, for some context, my wife Jess, 28 female, and I got married this past September. We wanted to keep the wedding small and intimate, so the decision was made that the wedding would essentially be child-free, with an exception for my half-sister, 16 female, since she's an older kid and I'd asked her to be one of my bridesmaids. Back when my brother Alex, 30 male, and his wife Hannah had RSVP'd for the wedding, I made sure to call and remind them that sadly, their baby couldn't come with them because it's child-free. I also want to mention here, I told them about this back when we went to visit my brother and family in the summer. Anyway, while on the phone, they said they hadn't forgotten and they'd already planned for Hannah's mum to babysit. However, when the day of the wedding came, Alex and Hannah showed up with, you guessed it, my then 8-month-old nephew. I'll be honest and admit that I'm kind of a pushover and I didn't want to make a scene on my wife and I's special day, so I regrettably let it go. We got about 2 minutes into the ceremony before extremely loud screaming and crying from my nephew began. The worst part was they tried to ignore it at first for about another 2 minutes before Hannah finally excused herself and him. Unfortunately, she couldn't go into another room because we're on a beach. At first she tried to walk further down the beach, but the crying could still be heard loud and clear. So eventually walked back to their car and later decided that her and my nephew would go home and not stay for the reception, and only my brother Alex would stay. Fast forward to the Christmas party. Everything was perfect until Alex, Hannah, and nephew show up. After she had reached out a month prior to tell me they wouldn't be coming at all and would be spending time with her family. I was annoyed and decided to pull them aside when I went to greet them and ask why they didn't tell me they were coming, because I honestly didn't make enough food to feed 2 more people for dinner, not to mention I had nothing for their son. Alex gave me a confused look and asked why I thought they weren't coming. When I told him the reason why, all hell broke loose. Alex obviously questioned Hannah as to why she would do this, and her response was to immediately and loudly accuse me of lying of hating my nephew. Obviously, this got the attention of the room and everyone stopped and turned to look at us like something out of a movie. He then asked why she would think that I hate their son, especially considering I agreed to change the policy to allow him to come to the wedding, which, as you already know, I did not do. I quickly told Alex that wasn't true and explained myself and my reasoning behind my choice, that it wasn't personal and that I, of course, love my nephew. I reminded them that I was super cool about the crying and never said anything, even when I probably should have. Jess started to walk over to us from the kitchen, most likely to try and defuse the situation, bless her heart, all while Hannah doubled down and tried to make it seem like I was lying. So I lost it and said, well, if I'm a liar who hates your kid, then I guess you should probably get the fuck out of my house. Jess stopped dead in her tracks and the silence that came after was eerie. Hannah then started crying and quickly left with my nephew and slammed the front door behind her. My brother turned and gave me a sad look before following behind her. It didn't take long before I started to feel embarrassed that I let things escalate like that. Jess comforted me after they left and we ended the party early because I don't even know how to properly process what just happened. Later, my brother texted me saying he didn't know who to believe. Apparently, Hannah is adamant that I allowed her to bring their son to the wedding last minute because I felt bad for trying to control what she gets to do with her baby. She's also saying I made the Christmas party thing up as well, claiming I've always had a vendetta against her and want to make her look bad. Alex says he just needs time and that he's heartbroken and worried that Hannah isn't who he thought she was. Other family members have been texting me, saying that they're on my side, but I do kind of feel like an arsehole for how I handled everything at the party. I know Hannah is trying to drag my name through the mud, but I feel guilty for making her cry. intentionally trying to publicly humiliate her, and for ruining the vibe of my own party. So, am I the arsehole for causing a rift in my brother's marriage by calling out my sister-in-law for lying in front of everyone at my Christmas party? Now, although there's a lot of stuff going down in this particular situation, I think if you break it down slightly, it's so clear that it's Hannah's pattern of lying that did all this. Let's go for it. That she lied about arranging childcare for your wedding, deliberately bought the baby against your wishes, lied about you changing the policy, lied about not coming to Christmas, and when caught out, she tried to twist the whole thing back on you, and then played the victim when her lies were all exposed. This is all a consequence to her own actions. She humiliated herself by lying and doubling down when caught. And I think you need to realize that your brother isn't heartbroken because of what you did. He's maybe looking back on his relationship now and seeing, a pattern of these lies and manipulative situations. So he's starting to realize what's going on, which is going to be messed up for him, right? But Sparkling Wine says not the arsehole, and in future group text her and your brother so you have the receipts when she RSVPs or not. Dangerous Ad says not the arsehole, and I agree. If she tries to message you on the side, screenshot and share to group message, telling her everything goes through the group chat. White Room says, or just say that from now on, all communication goes through the brother. Okie Lady says, stop with the guilt trip of yourself. She's apparently a habitual liar. Hopefully your brother will realize that his wife isn't who she presented herself as. Go no contact with her because she will always throw you under the bus. DGF says, for trying to control what she gets to do with her baby, and then says, that was her real feelings about your wedding request to be child-free. Liars always tell on themselves. Instead of being an adult and discussing any concerns with you, she decided to manipulate the situation and go behind your and your brother's back. She did this to herself. Release your guilt. You shouldn't want your brother married to such a person anyway. I feel so sorry for your nephew growing up with a mother like that. So far, so bad. If he stays with her moving forward, make sure everything related to events and planning is in writing, through your brother only, or on group chat. And don't accept phone calls from her. So sometime later, OP did come in to update the post and says, I want to start by saying thank you to everyone that read my post and tried to give me advice or just overall help me feel better about the entire situation. I originally intended to look more in depth at the comments and reply to some/answer questions, but I've been too stressed and too preoccupied because so much has happened in a short time. I know I have a lot of new information to share that has changed everything. My brother is now going to be staying with my wife and I for the time being. We decided this when he unexpectedly arrived late last night. We had a long talk where I learned the full scope of everything that happened with Hannah after the party up till now. He said that after taking some time and space away from her, he asked her to have a sit-down talk. He explained to me that during this time he realized she was 100% lying and I was 100% telling the truth, but still wanted to try and give her a chance to fully explain why she would act the way she did, why she would lie, and how she could justify treating him and I this way. Hannah tried to deflect and gaslight him when first confronted, but when he made it clear he wasn't having it, she snapped and admitted to him that she's always disliked me, and the main reason why is because she's uncomfortable with my lifestyle. She went on to say that Jess makes her the most uncomfortable due to her appearance and what she wears. My wife is extremely masculine presenting, and that she's just so sick and tired of pretending none of this upsets her. There was more, but Alex said that was all he was going to tell me. All of that, of course, was her reasoning for lying to my brother by telling him that I allowed the baby to attend the wedding last minute, and that she had secretly hoped her baby would fuss or cry and ruin part of the ceremony, which obviously happened. She explained that she wanted to do something similar for the Christmas party in order to make me look unhinged, and like I didn't want them there, making the wedding incident seem like a completely different situation to the family, one where she is the martyr and I the aggressor. I always knew she didn't like me, but fuck, I didn't realize she was so homophobic that the mere fact that Jess and I exist at all is detrimental to her. I decided that I'd never tell my wife the details Alex told me, but I'm honestly glad I know all of this now. I never feel guilty for calling out shitty behavior from people ever again. Alex assured me that he was extremely disgusted with her and what she said, and I had absolutely no idea she felt this way at all. But he then told me he wasn't actually done telling me everything she confessed. Here's where shit really hits the fan. Hannah, after going on a homophobic rant, started to get antsy and pace around the room, leaving my brother just sitting there devastated and confused. After a few minutes of said pacing, she continued to confess to my brother, now explaining that not only is she having an affair, she is also 100% certain he's not the biological father of their child they've been raising for these past 11 months. What made things even worse, after some prying she eventually lets it slip the affair has been going on for 6 fucking years. She claimed it was love at first sight when she met her college friend's older brother, Josh, 42 male, at a party 6 years ago. But she also knew she never wanted to lose my brother as he was her perfect match, which obviously makes zero sense all things considered. Also, for some added context, they've been married for around 6 years, meaning she's been having an entire secret, serious relationship with another man for the entirety of her marriage to my brother. Safe to say, I'm completely shocked, and all I've been doing is spending time with Jess and also Alex. He's been staying with us, as I mentioned above, since things are extremely tense and hostile between him and Hannah. They're obviously going to be getting a divorce, but with Christmas literally around the corner, everything is on pause, according to him. I respect this, but also cannot wait for her to officially no longer be in our lives. As for Hannah, she seems to have quite literally moved on overnight with Josh and their baby. Overall, I cannot believe she'd betray my brother like that, and I'm sad to know that she's been so hateful towards me because of my sexuality. I don't know if I have an update, but maybe. I just feel so depleted after yesterday. First commenter says, wow, so many of these homophobes are really not keeping up with their morals by cheating over the place. Hope your brother can make a clean split and the baby isn't his. I'm sorry your brother is hurting and I'm proud of you for calling a BS out. Silent Reader says, adding on, make sure he gets a paternity test done, and if and when it comes back negative, that he has his name removed from the birth certificate. Some states have time limits for this, and he could end up being on the hook for child support, even if he's not the biofather. Consult a lawyer as soon as possible. The fees might seem expensive now, but it beats paying through the nose for the next 18 years. Kitty says, yo, you're not the arsehole. Hannah's messy, lying, and straight up hateful. Good on you for calling her out and being there for your bro. She played herself, and now Karma's handling the rest. Keep being solid. You did nothing wrong. Holy moly. Whenever we get to the end of stories like that where it all goes crazy and blows up, I always think of that the Ron Burgundy, that escalated quickly scene. Holy shit. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. This one comes from the Am I Wrong subreddit from OKDuck4910. It says, am I wrong for expecting my husband to shovel snow? Not me. And apparently the husband responds to this as well. Throwaway account, as my husband is an active Redditor. I, female 26, have been with my husband, male 37, for 5 years. Married for 2. I'm currently pregnant, about 5 months. I'm a nurse and sometimes work night shifts. Usually I come home, we eat breakfast together, then he goes to work and I sleep. We had a big dump of snow last night. In our building, each unit is responsible for shoveling. Our strata has set a schedule, and the shoveling is supposed to be done before 8 AM, and again before 5 PM. They send us multiple notifications, so there's no surprise. When I came home early this morning, I saw that my husband was still sleeping and no shoveling had been done. I woke him up and asked him to shovel. He said he was too tired because he worked late last night and went back to sleep. I asked him 2 more times within 5 minutes, but he kept saying he was tired. Finally, he asked me if I could do it this time, saying he'd be so grateful. I told him I was also tired because I'd just come home from work, but I agreed and asked him to make breakfast while I was out. He said okay. It took me a while, but I shoveled the whole area. When I came back inside, I found him still sleeping. I started yelling at him, and he said, I told you I was tired. I told him that next time I wouldn't do the shoveling, and let Strata fine us instead. He got mad and said it was for the house, that I live here too, and that I was making a big deal out of it. He left, and now I'm so angry. Am I overreacting, or was he being a selfish jerk? Opie added later saying his argument was that I was going to sleep all day anyways, and I was already awake while I work during the day, so what's the big deal? Added later again, we live in Canada. We had 15 centimeters of snow last night. And another at it that says yes, he does have ADHD, diagnosed as a teen, and has terrible time management. The commenter says to OP, "That's a real dick move, getting your 5-month pregnant wife to shovel snow. You're not wrong. I'm all for equality and sharing household tasks, but you're pregnant for F's sake, and just finished work to cap that off." Fairmount says, "For real, as much as people mistakenly say shoveling is good exercise, it's also dangerous. Wilder bro would be so casual about risking harm to his wife and kid." Another commenter says, "You are 5 months pregnant. You are not wrong, and he's a lazy, inconsiderate ass. What if you slipped and fell while shoveling? I've been married for 30 plus years and I've never asked my wife to shovel. She has come out and helped me a few times when it's really deep and heavy, but I take care of it. Is this your first child? I worry how much he's going to help once your child is born." Opie responded saying, "Yes, this is our first baby. We've been together since I was in university. I was 21. We got married 2 years ago." Minimum Guidance says, "So let me get this straight. A 32-year-old dude decided a 21-year-old girl in college was his forever wife or an easy target to manipulate. Because no sane adult with a developed brain goes after someone without one. And this is not a single slight to you, OP. You were 21, and he was old enough to know better. Just like at nearly 40, he should understand the dangers of forcing his first-time pregnant wife to shovel snow after a long shift of taking care of people without food and nutrition after all that work, so her should-be ex gets to sleep like a baby." Mama says, "You aren't answering what's already been asked. What did your lazy-ass husband do before you moved in and took over everything? Did he live in his own filth with an empty refrigerator? Neurodivergence doesn't give him a pass on taking part in doing the adulting for his household. If he has problems with being an adult, there are therapists who specialize in dealing with neurodivergent people. He can learn better time management. He can learn to understand a proper division of chores. He can learn that there are things he needs to take over because you are pregnant. You need to stop making excuses for him and expect him to take action to become a functioning adult. Please, there are neurodivergent people in every profession on this planet, and they succeed in those professions. You're married to a man-child who doesn't even want to succeed at being a responsible husband. Put the bar higher and expect him to get over it. If you don't, you're going to be doing 100% of the household chores and 100% of the childcare chores. And you'll still be making excuses that he can't help because he's neurodivergent and that's a disability. No, it isn't. Now pull up your big girl panties and hold his feet to the fire." Opie says, "I apologize, I missed it. When we were friends with benefits, he was coming over to my place. When we started dating, he said he was cleaning his house and everything before I came over. He had one serious ex before me, but they never lived together. Dated in college, she moved, and they did long distance and eventually broke up. We moved in together after we got engaged. I assume because he has a demanding job, he just focused on it, and it's going to get better eventually. Then we talked to our family doctor, changed his meds, and he got better. I started adding stuff to do on his calendar, making him task lists every night, and texting to him so he can follow the next day. So many other things. Everything worked initially, then back to square one. Well, I can't ask him that because our doctor said, do you tell a paralyzed man to get over it and walk? No, we can't, but you can give him a wheelchair to move around and be productive. So support him and help him find what works for him and love him the way he is." LK replies saying, "You're going to have to make your stand now. If you don't, you can expect it to be worse when the baby is here. He should have shoveled. You're 5 months pregnant and just got off working a high-demand job. Does he care about your rest and health of the baby? Or is he as selfish and entitled as this post makes him out to be?" Opie says yes, he normally does care a lot. He's just terrible about any deadline. Asked him to set up the crime, I'm assuming it's crib, we bought on Black Friday. He kept saying he'll do it next weekend. Then I reminded him next weekend. He said, "Oh my god, sorry, you're right. I'll do it after I clean up my workroom." And halfway through cleaning his workroom, he got distracted reading some old book. It's Christmas Eve, his workroom is still a mess, and crib is in the box still. He said he will do everything by the weekend. We will see. And one more comment from Minimum Guidance, who says, "OP, I am severely ADHD like this. If I'm with people shopping, expect to lose me multiple times. If I need to complete one household task, I'm going to be doing at least 15 other things along the way. I did this a lot as a teenager and had to learn coping mechanisms then to outgrow being so consumed by one task. Unfortunately, more trauma ensued and now I have a lovely, untrained, so she stays at home, service dog that happily distracts me when the hyper-focus is too long. lays on me when the anxiety is bad, and literally reminds me to be on schedule. It's not her responsibility to make sure I do my dailies, but she sure helps remind me to get in gear and get it done. I understand where your husband is coming from, but he's 37 and old enough to know that these are very unhealthy habits. He should have started to unlearn years ago. It would be fine if he was single and lived alone, but he has a wife and a baby at home with responsibilities that need to be done. So a day later, husband comes in with her update and says, not an actual update. Hi, I'm Matty, the husband of the pregnant lady who shoveled snow yesterday. My wife showed me the post, and at first I was really upset because she shared our private argument online to get validation. But then I asked if I could share my side, and she let me use her phone to post. She's getting ready to head to my parents' place for Christmas Day together, and I'm bored, so here I am. First off, yes, I have ADHD, medicated, but my wife forgot to mention a few things. She has OCD, not diagnosed. She needs everything cleaned, organized, and done right now. She can't just leave a task for later. It's not in her nature. She makes a rhyme every time. I told her I'd shovel soon, but she wanted it done immediately. I get it's before 8 AM and all that, but we still had time. She kept reminding me, and finally I said, if you're in such a rush, you can do it. I'd actually be grateful. She said okay. Yes, I forgot to make her coffee and toast, but I would have done that if she had just sat down and chilled. She didn't. She wanted everything done now, like usual. Also, I've been diagnosed with depression and anxiety and have been on meds since July, right around when I started working with a new team. My sleep schedule is a mess and I was tired. To everyone suggesting exit plans, thanks, but we talked it out. We both apologized. I said I'm sorry for letting her down, and she promised not to shovel anymore. She also apologized for yelling at me and calling me a selfish, lazy prick. Oh, and to the people calling me a groomer, that's disgusting. Infantilizing my wife, and it's gross. Happy holidays. Bye. And of course, there's some comments on the back of that where we'll just read a couple of them. First one says, appreciate taking the time to put your side, but really you've got no excuse. I've missed what time the conversation occurred, but I don't think it was 4 or 5 a.m. More like 7:30 a.m. You didn't have time. You let your pregnant wife come off a night shift and shovel snow because you couldn't be asked. It then didn't occur to you to make her some breakfast while she was out there cold, exerting herself in treacherous conditions. Again, because you couldn't be asked. You had the night to sleep. You should try growing a human, and then you'd know what tired is. I feel sorry for your wife once this baby comes, as I fear she'll be doing a lot alone. Initial Dish says, there is nothing OCD about getting snow shoveled because it has to be done at a particular time. You know this, and could have set an alarm and go out and do it. Still, the arse. Tipsy Baker says okay, but it sounds like the apartment says it needs to be done by 8, not your wife, and you know that. Shoveling snow isn't a chore someone should be doing while pregnant. People die each year doing that task, so why risk it? You're about to have a baby. You can't do whatever you want whenever you feel like it anymore. Not if you want to keep relationships with your wife and child. Your ADHD is your responsibility to address. That's not a crutch or excuse, so get on it. Opie says yes, but I would have done it eventually before 8. My wife wants stuff done right away. She can't just sit down and chill and let me figure shit out myself. That's my point. Minimum Guidance says, how's that crib bought in Black Friday coming along? Opie's nearly 40-year-old husband. Why are you infantilizing yourself? You know how to open a box and start a project. You need to open your eyes to see what you are doing. You and your wife literally, and not figuratively, because we spoke, believe that she's your secretary. She's your wife and this is your household. If she wants it done now, it's because you refuse to finish the task, so she's making sure you complete it. You are a selfish, lazy prick. I never told her to leave you or suggested it, but let's be honest, forcing your pregnant wife to shovel snow and you promise her breakfast only for you to sleep instead? You don't care about her or your kid and prioritize yourself pretty clearly. Edit, since you've seen my comments, OP. You know your wife and I spoke. Check her DMs and read that link I sent her. That made her so emotional from the relatability that made her cry. For anyone else wondering, and then shares a link, which ends with, you should have asked. Opie replies saying, ow. She mentioned the crib too. Great. More sharing private conversations. I'm gonna do it soon. It's in my to-do list. I still have time. She's not even close to giving birth. Chill. Late Education says, honestly, this doesn't make you look any better. You're admitting that you had your wife who is 5 months pregnant out shoveling snow after a long shift. Then you went back to sleep instead of making food for her and your unborn baby. We all have issues, but bottom line is you have responsibilities and push them off on your pregnant wife. You have a baby on the way. It's time to get it together. Accidentally Cool says, no, you don't understand. He's tired. He has depression. You have to know he is a priority too. I rolled my eyes so far back in my head at this post. Gee whiz. Yeah, that update certainly didn't make him look any better, and he just seems to be doubling down as well. Holy shit. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.